of translating the Ecce Romani stories. So this is chapter 1, so it's probably your first time seeing Latin, which is awesome. So again, welcome. I'm glad you're taking Latin. It's a great language. I think you made a smart decision. I think that no matter what you might have heard about Latin being difficult, the more you put into it and the more you practice, the better off you're going to be. So I'm making these videos to try to help you understand the story. And I know the first couple chapters really aren't particularly difficult, but that doesn't mean you won't get stuck every once in a while. So this should be a resource for you to go back and just hear how to translate it and pick up on some of the grammar ideas, and hopefully it helps you as you go through the book and as you keep learning Latin. So the first piece of advice I would give you is to always make sure you have the vocab under control. So every time you start a new chapter, make sure you're reading the vocabulary, you're memorizing it as best as you can, and you're looking at any English derivatives, so words in English that come from these Latin roots. It'll help you as you go. The second thing that you want to do is make sure you read the story out loud, either to someone else, maybe a classmate, or to yourself. Don't just read it in your head. When you say it out loud, one, you're kind of bringing the language to life, but it'll help you processing. You should be listening and hearing this language too, and not just reading it on a piece of paper. So again, this is chapter 1, so we're going to start right off. It starts with ecce, which means look. Then you have in pictura est puella nomine Cornelia. It means in the picture, there is a girl named Cornelia. Cornelia est puella Romana quae in Italia habitat. Cornelia is a Roman girl who lives in Italy. And again, don't get caught up. Literally, it says, if you were to go left to right word order, it says Cornelia is a girl Roman. Don't read it that way. It's totally normal to have adjectives coming after nouns in Latin. Process it and flip it into better English. The other thing you're going to notice is that the verb is at the end, right? You don't want to read this as Cornelia is a girl Roman who in Italy lives. It kind of makes sense. You can figure it out, but always flip it into subject, verb, word order. And we'll see as we go through it, direct objects, those factor in too. But you want to translate it as you would in English, right? So she's a Roman girl who lives in Italy. Then you have etiam in pictura est villa rustica ubi Cornelia aestate habitat. So also in the picture is a villa rustica, a country house, where Cornelia lives aestate in the summer. Cornelia est laeta quod iam in villa habitat. So Cornelia is happy because now, iam, she's living in the country house. Cornelia iam sub arbore sedet et legit. So it says Cornelia now is sitting under a tree and reading. Legit is reading, sedet is sitting. Etiam in pictura est altera puella nomine Flavia. So also in the picture, there's another girl, an altera puella, named Flavia. Flavia est puella Romana quae in villa vicina habitat. So Flavia is a Roman girl, another puella Romana, who lives in the neighboring country house, the villa vicina. She lives down the road. Dum Cornelia legit, Flavia scribit. So while Cornelia is reading, Flavia is writing. Laeta est Flavia quod Cornelia iam in villa habitat. So Flavia is happy. Literally, happy is Flavia, but again, flip it into English word order. Flavia is happy because Cornelia is now living in her country house, right? So the idea is she doesn't live here year-round. She only comes in the summer. So now that you've seen the story and heard the translation, the next thing you want to do is just start looking at some of the grammar involved here. So one of the things you want to notice is that the nouns and adjectives end in A. That's a very specific pattern that you want to keep track of. So words like puella, Cornelia, nouns, right, end in A. Romana, rustica, these words end in A too. They're adjectives. Not all the nouns are ending in A, but a lot of them are, and it's a really important pattern. The other thing you want to notice is that the verbs are ending in T. So est, habitat, scribit, legit. These words are all ending in T because the T verb ending means he, she, or it is doing something in Latin. So the subject of every one of these sentences is a she, Cornelia or Flavia, right? So it makes sense that the verb ends in T. That's a very specific pattern that you can catch on to. If your subject ends in A, your verb is going to end in T. So just pay attention to that as you go to make sure that you're catching these patterns. Here's the English translation. Just in case you need it, feel free to pause the video, look it over. I'll leave this here for you, but it's basically a translation of what we just did. And again, just make sure that you're reading it, and if you translate it and get something close to this or pretty close, you're on the right track. You should feel good about that. And if your translation is slightly different, don't worry about it. It's still fine as long as you're on the right track and it's making sense, you're going to be okay. The last thing I'd recommend is you should look at what's going on in this story, right? They're talking about living in Italy outside of Baiae, or in Baiae, I guess. So it's in the Italian countryside. If you've never seen it before, you should look up a picture. This is just from a quick Google search, but you want to be able to envision what's going on in the story. Where are the characters? What are they doing? Where do they live? It'll really bring the story to life for you. So I'd always encourage you to do that. So hopefully you found this video helpful. I know some of these stories are pretty straightforward, especially in the early chapters, but it's always good to have a reference to go back and just make sure you're on the right track. So again, hopefully you found this helpful. I'll be making one for every chapter as we go, so stay tuned. And if you have any questions, feel free to pause the video, go back, rewind it. But if there's anything I can help you with, feel free to put a comment on this video and I'll answer it however I can. Good luck.